doing the work, you're putting in the hours, but somehow those big goals keep feeling just as distant. Now, I'm Rian Doris, founder and CEO of flowstate.com. We've trained everyone from Audi, Accenture, and the US Air Force to use neuroscience-based principles to access flow states at will. Here's the reality for most of us. Week after week passes by, and despite being constantly busy, we're not making meaningful progress toward our most important goals. Now, when I first moved to the States, the first friend I made was a guy called Derek. He was about 38 and he had a clear goal: finish his PhD in psychology and become a professor at UCLA. Now, every time I checked in with Derek, he was taking a few credits each semester, working as a teaching assistant to cover expenses, occasionally taking a semester off here or there. The striking thing was that year after year, Derek's situation remained basically identical. He was perpetually working on his PhD without meaningful progress occurring. Years later, he was in exactly the same position as when I had met him. Same goal, same distance from achieving the goal. And here's the part that stings. Derek was not actually lazy. He knew what he wanted, and yet year after year, his daily actions weren't bringing him any closer to his target destination. He just never built a bridge between the life he pictured and the week that he actually lived in the present. Researchers of organizational behavior call it goal displacement, a process by which the initial goals set are displaced by other goals. Think of goal displacement like trying to summit a mountain while running on a treadmill at the base. You're exerting energy, and you know what the mountain is that you want to go up, but you're not getting any closer to the peak. Without a deliberate process like the one I'm about to show you, the gap between your goals and your daily actions naturally widens with time. Now, there's a reliable way to overcome goal displacement, and it's called the goal flywheel. The goal flywheel is a 90-minute weekly ritual. It eliminates goal displacement by ensuring everything you do moment to moment, day to day, moves you toward your year to decade long-term goals. Now, by the way, you can download a distillation of everything we've covered in a free guide by just clicking the link in the description. It'll allow you to start putting the goal flywheel into practice even more easily this week, and it's free. We'll send it to you right away. The goal flywheel consists of 3 core steps that work like an airplane's pre-flight sequence. First, you check your destination, reviewing your goals. Then, you plot your flight path, identifying your goal-directed actions, those actions that will make your goal occur. Finally, you schedule takeoff during ideal weather conditions, where you allocate your flow states and determine what you're going to get into flow working on through the week. Now, I'll walk you through each step right now. The first step being review your goals. First thing we got to do is review our goals across all time frames: yearly, quarterly, and monthly. Most people have big goals floating in their minds without clear connections to their daily action steps. What you want is a goal stack. Your goal stack is like a staircase connecting daily actions all the way up to long-term goals. Here's what a complete goal stack looks like. Firstly, you've got purpose. This sits at the foundation, the problem you've chosen to solve that gives direction to everything above it. This doesn't need to be perfect or permanent, but it provides context for all your other goals. Then you've got your high-hard goals, which stem down from purpose. They're challenging but achievable with dedicated effort. It might be writing a book, it might be building a business to a certain size, it might be finishing a PhD. These are the big multi-year life milestone level goals. Next, you've got annual goals, breaking down your high-hard goals into what you can achieve within the next year. And then you've got quarterly goals, further segmenting your annual goals into 90-day milestones. And then monthly goals, what specific outcomes you'll achieve each month to hit your quarterly targets. And then weekly goals, the actions needed each week to ensure monthly goal attainment. And then daily goal-directed actions, the specific tasks that most directly move you toward your goals that you will execute each day. For example, if your high-hard goal is building a $10 million company in 3 years, this year's goal might be reaching $1 million in revenue. This quarter's goal might be launching a new product line, and this month's goal might be completing the prototype. Consider Elon Musk's goal of settling Mars. His high-hard goal: fully reusable rockets to slash space travel costs. Annually, SpaceX advances Starship development and Raptor engine production. Quarterly milestones involve major tests like suborbital flights. Monthly objectives include assembling Starship prototypes or building multiple Raptor engines. Weekly actions might be static fire tests. Daily tasks are granular: re-entry simulations, software tweaks. The power of the goal stack is that it creates perfect alignment when your daily actions directly support your weekly goals, which feed your monthly goals, and so on up the stack. You eliminate the possibility of goal displacement. But the key to make your goal stack work is to review it every single week. That's how you actually become goal directed. So during your weekly goal flywheel session, you're going to take 15 minutes to review your entire goal stack top to bottom. You're going to ask yourself 3 questions. Firstly, how are my actions from the past week driving me towards my goals? Secondly, what is the gap between my actions in the past week and the actions needed to achieve my goals? And thirdly, what specific actions do I need to take this week to close this gap? This reconnection ensures your goals stay front of mind and prevents the drift that leads to goal displacement. Step 2 is to identify goal-directed actions for the coming week. Ask, which 3 goal-directed actions done this week yank your target closer? Goal-directed actions are tasks that directly propel you towards your long-term goals, as opposed to the trivial many that just keep you busy. The key to identifying truly goal-directed actions is understanding that progression follows power laws, not bell curves. This means a small number of activities will drive the vast majority of your results. Think of it like this: 5% of your effort will likely create about 95% of your progress. Like closing one important deal, writing one great email, or making one critical decision actually drive almost all your success. Those are your goal-directed actions. Here's how to identify your goal-directed actions. For each of your goals, ask, firstly, what single action would move this forward most dramatically? Limit yourself to no more than 3 goal-directed actions per week, and then break these down into 3 specific tasks per day. This constraint forces you to focus on what truly matters. When you can only choose 3 things, you'll naturally gravitate toward the highest impact activities. For example, if your goal is to launch a new product, your goal-directed actions might be finalize the prototype design, complete the pricing strategy, schedule meetings with key manufacturing partners. These are specific goal-directed actions that directly advance you toward your long-term goal. And step 3 is the power down ritual. The final step of the goal flywheel is implementing a daily power down ritual that bridges your weekly planning with your daily execution through the week after you've done the goal flywheel exercise on a Sunday, presumably. The power down ritual is a miniature, short and sweet version of your goal flywheel. While your weekly goal flywheel session realigns your actions with your goals every 7 days, the power down ritual tightens this connection every 24 hours. It's like a daily course correction that prevents even the smallest deviation from your intended path. Without this daily reset, by Monday evening, your Monday morning clarity has already begun to dissipate. By Wednesday, external demands have started to override priorities. By Friday, you're back to reacting rather than directing. The power down ritual interrupts this pattern of entropy accumulation and keeps your goal connection razor sharp day after day. So here's how to run your power down ritual. First, prevent goal drift by quickly reviewing your goal stack. Pull up your goals document and check today's actions against your long-term objectives. Ask yourself, did today's work move me closer to my goals? Second, identify tomorrow's 3 tasks that will most dramatically move your weekly targets forward. By deciding these the day before, you eliminate decision fatigue when you start working tomorrow. You are essentially allocating your flow states in advance. Third, allocate these actions to your peak performance windows. This is where you leverage chronobiology research to maximize flow state opportunity. Most people have a 3 to 4 hour window that's hard-coded into their biology of peak cognition. For morning people, this might be 8 a.m. to noon. For really early morning people, it could be 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. or something like that. For night owls, it could be 8 p.m. to midnight. You want to block this time in your calendar for your most important goal-directed actions. Protect these blocks ruthlessly. This is where your progression is going to emerge from. No meetings, no emails, no distractions, no phone checking. Neuroscientist Till Roenberg's research on chronobiology shows that when your brain's biological rhythm aligns with high-value important tasks, your cortisol levels optimize for alertness and melatonin diminishes, removing the subtle friction that occurs when your biology and your calendar clash. Makes flow entry dramatically easier. Fourth, break each action down into wildly specific micro clear goals. Instead of work on presentation, write open slide deck, add client data to slide 3, create bar chart comparing Q1, Q2 results. These are your clear goals, the quintessential flow trigger. Lastly, take the first step of the first step. Open the document, create the folder, or write the first sentence. This removes the psychological barrier to starting tomorrow. When you sit down to work, you'll be continuing rather than beginning, a critical distinction for your brain. Peak performers are intensely goal-directed. They approach each day with surgical precision about how their time will move them forward. The difference between a typical Monday and a Monday after running your goal flywheel is like the difference between swimming against a current versus with it. Same swimmer, same effort, dramatically different distance that's possible to travel. Just picture two professionals with identical goals, skills, and time. First, consider Monday without the goal flywheel. Check email immediately, react to 17 messages, join a few meetings about other people's priorities, wonder about what you should work on, take a guess at something that seems productive, work on it for a little bit, do the same thing on another task, and fall into bed exhausted with that sickening feeling that you haven't really moved forward. Now consider Monday with the goal flywheel. Spend 90 focused minutes deep in a flow state on your most critical goal-directed action during peak energy hours. Drop into the zone, make substantial progress, then handle email and meetings from a position of accomplishment and direction rather than reaction. And this difference compounds weekly. When you spin your goal flywheel consistently, week after week, you create a virtuous cycle. Each goal-directed action you complete builds momentum, making the next one easier. Your progress becomes predictable and inevitable rather than random and uncertain. Every time you take action, get results, and notice you were the cause of those results, your self-efficacy increases. Self-efficacy refers to your belief in your own ability to complete tasks and reach goals. According to Stanford University professor Albert Bandura, self-efficacy influences how people think, motivate themselves, and behave. I've been spinning my goal flywheel for over 11 years now. I've reviewed my long-term goals week after week, and I've had to rewrite them multiple times because it's all come true multiple times over. It's uncanny. Over time, your goal flywheel document will feel like a magic document that allows you to write things into reality and turn mind into matter with increasing levels of conviction. This week, I challenge you to implement the goal flywheel for yourself. Set aside 90 minutes this Sunday, review your goals, identify your goal-directed actions, block them into your week in the optimal way that we talked about. Now, by the way, the goal flywheel only works if you properly determine your long-term goals in the first place. You want to build what we call a goal stack, where your goals fit perfectly on top of each other. We touched on this here, but there's a more detailed breakdown we have for you on how to do this. To master it with more depth, click the video on screen now.